Roundhill just launched a new ETF, XPAY. Is it a good investment? Let's find out. This video is not financial advice, nor is it a recommendation. Please do your own due diligence before investing into anything. XPAY is the first of what appears to be a new batch of target fund ETFs from Roundhill. This one trades against the S&P. However, unlike their more popular ETFs, QDTE, XDTE, and RDTE, XPAY is not doing covered calls. When you invest your cash into XPAY, Roundhill buys flex call options against S&P 500 ETFs. The prospectus stated that 80% of its invested funds will go to SPY ETF calls, but the holdings already show calls for SPY and SPLG. The returns from these calls are how they intend to make the income to pay their monthly distributions and their expense ratio of 0.49%. A flex option is an option with additional flexibility in its terms. Usually flex options against an index like the S&P tend to settle in cash rather than shares. So even if they assign those contracts for a profit, it will likely just be a cash payment. This also means XPAY does not intend to own any actual shares of an index or ETF. The prospectus also says they will attempt to provide most of their monthly distributions as return of capital, which is intended to reduce the tax burden for investors. However, they don't guarantee that. They plan to pay out 20% of the fund's value each year regardless if they make more or less that year. If they make more, they plan to add a special dividend to pay out the net investment income above that 20%. This special distribution and the additional net income that paid for it would normally not be considered return of capital. Even though it's mentioned in the prospectus, I would still double check your 1099 to make sure this is actually how it's classified. The performance of this ETF will depend entirely on the performance of the underlying index. Fortunately, the S&P has been trending up since its bottom in 2022. If this trend continues, XPAY should also perform well. Another point to consider is that while their return of capital approach could possibly save you some taxes under good conditions, it can also backfire if they don't make enough to cover their distributions in a given year. They could have smoothed out the effects of a bad year if they bank the extra income above their 20% distributions on good years and use that cash to make sure they can still pay something on bad years without hurting the ETF too much. Are you buying XPAY? Let us know in the comments below. If you like this video, you might also enjoy this one here on the screen. Subscribe to join the Cash Flow Club and hit the bell for notifications so you don't miss a single video.